Open up our open session of the Benicia Unified School District Governing Board's meeting. It is 7:01, coming back from closed session. We actually had nothing to report out, so we're going to move on to 5B. This meeting is recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel for your convenience. And now I'd like to ask Dr. Gill, would you please lead us in the pledge?
With the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, can I get an approval, or can I get a recommendation for approval of the agenda as written?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Can I get a second, please? Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda?
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci? Yes. Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
And Trustee Gross?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. I'm gonna turn this over to Dr. Wright, who is going to share information, and we have our wonderful person here from Food and Nutrition Services. So Dr. Wright, will you take it away, please?
Good evening. It gives me pleasure to welcome Ms. Tanya Courtney, our Director of Food and Nutritional Services, who has a special presentation for us this evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me over. My favorite student sitting over there. So I'm going to try to be really brief. I'm just a little bit of what we're doing this year. We are serving meals under the California Universal Meals, which each day that student attend the school, they have one free breakfast and one free lunch. We started the year not quite first week, the kids don't know exactly what they are, but we already are where we ended last year. So we are just for the month of, right now we are serving about 2,300 meals a day. And it's a lot. Like before COVID, we were serving about 1,800 meals. So it's quite a bit more. So we are looking into our free and reduces. You guys have the numbers there, but we are working also with Robin to get our parents to reapply. So because impact our eligibility for the district to the programs. And then we already made a good progress. We had about 16 pages of students that had not reapplied. So then she did direct certify with CalPads. We knocked down that to about 6 to 7 pages. And then we submit another email to parents that to remind them to reapply and what the benefits they get, the PBT card for groceries and all the discounts. And we knocked down to 5.5 pages. So hopefully next week we'll submit another one. And we are answering the calls for parents and explaining to them, yes, it's free, but this is your benefits. So when we get a week to the expiration time, we will make phone calls, okay? So at Benicia High School, we do serve breakfast from 8 to 8:30 every morning. We serve anyway, sometimes 40 to 60 has been the highest so far. Early in the morning and nutrition break, we are this week we are almost 400 kids and then nutrition break. Our breakfast burrito is homemade, very popular, so the kids love it. So that day we go up high, and during lunchtime we could have 13 lines open, but I don't have enough people, even though I'm serving every day. But we are serving between 700, a little more, a little less every day, which is a lot. And we don't let any student go without eat. Sometimes they want to just get one thing, and we say, "Hi, how about this?" And we offer the meals, and they walk away with something healthy. At the Liberty High School, we serve between 20 and 24 students a day. Community day, not too many, 2, 3 kids, but it's available for them if they want. we make a call for them in the morning, and they let us know what they want, and then we deliver to them. Middle school, with the 2 lunches now, we are serving over 500 meals, over 500 lunches, and breakfast is over 300 already too. So that's a big jump from last year.
Yeah, that is good.
Elementary schools, Robert Sample and Matthew, Mary Farmer about the same amount on lunchtime, between 260, somewhere around there. Matthew Turner and Joe Henderson are a little bit higher. No reason, I don't know why. I guess they like our food. And it's good. We wanted to have all the kids to participate, so we encourage them and we'll do a lot of different things to them. If we try to listen to them and see what they want. Sometimes, oh, we don't like this very much, so we change. Like, for example, we used to serve barbecue chicken on a bone, right? So the kids are not taking, so we talked to them and they said, well, it's too messy, right? Grab a piece of meat and stuff like that, the chicken. So we are deboning the chicken and make sandwiches. So we have to be creative to make sure that the kids take what they like it. So I have a little ideas of items that we serve every day between breakfast and lunch, we try to come up with more recipes all the time. I'm waiting to have a little more hands on it to do more of that, but we try to listen to the kids. So I have a few pictures just to show. Yeah, when I see I love to see when the kids come and they say, hey, they have this today, come on, and they run to the line, and that's to me is the glory of the day. And when they have what they want, we try to make as much as possible. And let's see, there's some pictures of the cold options. We also have a vegan menu, and it's posted on our website. If someone wants to order, we ask them to order the day before. So then we have that prepared for them, and they come to the pause room at the high school, and they come and get the meals that they wanted. Let's see, more pictures of the pause room. We have 2 grants with fruits and vegetables, from one from the they call DOD, from the USDA. So that alleviates the cost of the food. As you all know, the food costs went up, and especially with the heat wave, the produce, like, even I do procurement with them every year, they say no, out of their control because of the crops, so the price went up. So that helps us out on the cost of the, so we still can serve them good fruits and vegetables. And then we are short about 5 people at the high school, so we're trying our best, and then we promote. I'm sending notes to parents, like I have to send letters, notifications about direct certify when they qualify or not. So I'm putting a little note, a little love note saying, if you're looking for a job, we are hiring. So,
Okay.
try to get them in. I sent 600 something letters out. If I get 2 or 3, I'll be happy. And so that's just about it. That's our we have still different challenges with the supplies besides the price. Often it happens that I have to order 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time, and the Friday prior to arrive is like, oh, sorry, you're not gonna get this, you're not gonna get that. So I have to play rob Peter to pay Paul, and I have to refigure the menu and try to find a different item to, that meets the requirements. But so far, we have been able to, not make many changes. Try to find an item that's similar, kind of like it, so we don't have the kids disappointed. Then I have pictures of our caterings, and I love our caterings because we love to serve the students. So I have, when the students from the middle school come and visit the high schools, we make sure that we make a little treat for them so they have a good experience visiting our campus. Then we have the multicultural. Every year we do that. We cook for 5 days. They come up with recipes and they give it to us, and then we produce so they can share with their leadership, share with the other students a sample of each country. We also do the barbecue for the seniors every year, and also the senior breakfast. And the next one, as you all know, we cater for the district too, and I'd love to cater for our staff too, because I know everybody works really hard. And for us, food is love. So, you pass out the
Yes,
things,
it
the
is.
The
good
way to the
things we
heart is
do.
through the tummy.
So yeah, so our motto is feeding bodies and fueling minds. We are here to teach our students to have a lifelong healthy habits through the food we serve, support nutrition, education, and physical activities, and create a wellness partnership through the school and the community. So we have a great team. Everybody who is working right now is really vested. I have a lot of employees that were high school, Benicia high school students, and they love what they do. So I wish I can have more of those. So that's all for tonight. Does
Tanya,
anybody have questions?
I just have a comment. First of all, what an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
What an amazing job you do with you and your staff. And I think the layperson doesn't really understand what goes into food services, because you're talking about making lists, getting a hold of people that haven't filled out the application to start the services for their family again. All those things, that's extra.
Yes.
And I don't think the parents or people just in the community even understand what goes into that. So I want to applaud you for all that you do.
Thank you.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
So Tanya, I just want to tell you too, I was up at the high school this week for the Mad Money activity. And she did a food presentation for all the volunteers. So it was absolutely wonderful. Smelled real tempting too, because she had all these amazing desserts there. And it was like, oh my God. So, but I just wanted to thank you because it was lovely. And the people that were there, the parents and the Travis Union, were very impressed with the food display. So
Thank you. Thank you.
that was good to see.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to move on to item number 9, our reports. We have our students here with us this evening. Nevaeh Avalos, sorry, okay. I will get it by the 3rd time for sure. From Liberty High School, you're going to present this evening, and we're interested to hear what's going on at Liberty.
Well, good evening, President Zeta, Superintendent Dr. Wright, fellow trustees, and cabinet members. My name is Nevaeh Avalos, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight representing Liberty High School. Last week, we recognized Suicide Prevention Awareness. Working with the Kyle Highland Foundation, we had our Chalk for Life event. Students were able to express words of encouragement, and we talked about how we can reach out to others. We want to thank Miss Anouk from BHS. Some of us were able to visit her CTE classroom, where she explained different types of medical career paths. We appreciate her taking the time for us. Our first door decorating contest will be judged this Friday, and the theme is All About Us, where my class, Mr. Lobo's class, should definitely win again. We are busy for the next 2 weeks. We have our first Sir Optimist Club meeting next Wednesday. We have a LTI field trip to Solano Community College's automotive program. We will be having our student listening and learning session with Dr. Wright, where I'll see you there, be there. We are also planning our first field day, and at the end of September, our English drama class will be seeing Cal Shakes Lear at Orinda's Outdoor Amphitheater. And on behalf of Liberty High School, thank you.
You're welcome. I have to say, I was on campus yesterday and I got to see the action taking place on the doors. They are looking fabulous. Somebody there knows how to roll roses like nobody's business. And also that, what else was it at Liberty? Well, it was exciting. There was a lot of activities going on. And so thank you for sharing. We appreciate you being here. And next we have Jinjin Gao from Benicia High School to report.
Good evening, President Zeta, Superintendent, fellow trustees, and cabinet members. My name is Jinjin, the ASD Vice President for Benicia High School. Last Thursday, September 8th, was our back to school night. It was a big success. We received a lot of comments from parents and students, no, teachers. And Senior Sunrise happened on that Friday as well. It was also a success. We got Noah's Bagels for all the seniors. They said it's really delicious. This Friday, September 14th, is our club fair. We have about over 40 clubs approved. During lunch, each club will have a table set up for them. The upcoming week, September 26th through the 30th, is the homecoming week, and our theme is Out of This World. We plan to have movie night on the 28th, the homecoming rally on the 30th, and the homecoming dance on the October 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here and presenting. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And I'm going to dismiss you because I'm sure you have good stuff that needs to get done for tomorrow, right? All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Okay. Now we are moving on to the superintendent report. Dr. Wright, I'm going to let you move forward. Thanks.
Good evening, President Zeta, trustees, and team. I want to start off by giving a vaccination update. California Department of Public Health announced that they're ending the COVID-19 policies that required weekly COVID testing for unvaccinated and undervaccinated employees. For our district, what that does is it allows our volunteers to our unvaccinated volunteers to volunteer in our schools and serve our students in our organization, and that's very timely. I think you saw the field trip requests that are coming through, outdoor ed, you name it. So this is a great thing. We really appreciate our volunteers and we want you back. So we're looking forward to that. I also want to touch bases on our emergency responses, some threats to the schools that we've experienced over the last couple of weeks. You know, there's just been recent incidents that's caused some to question, you know, the protocols in emergency situations. As I mentioned last week, we had a record heat wave and we experienced threats of violence to our schools. There's many scenarios and variables that factor into how we respond and how we make our decisions. But tonight, I just want to give you a glimpse, some insight into our process. When we experience concerns, I mean, we live in California. We're prone to wildfires. We have a refinery right here in our neighborhood. So when we think about air quality, we use data from airnow.gov and also our Purple Air monitors to inform us of the status, any potential dangers and precautions that we need to take to make sure that our students and staff remain safe. We also have an air quality chart on our website that guides us in our decision making. And we also work with our local fire department. So any decision that we make is based on the data that we are getting from our monitors and also our partners. When we experience heat waves, as we did last week, we use guidance from Solano County Health and Human Services, California Department of Public Health. There's a heat index chart that was published by the Office of Environmental Health and Safety. And we use that to guide heat index protocols, and it helps us modify our activities. We also communicate regularly throughout the day. Dr. Beatson would send up-to-date emails to our administrators, advising them of the heat index and what protocols to take. And during this recent heat wave, there are some districts that actually modified their school days to compensate for some of these extreme heat cases. And the question came to us, under what condition would the Benicia Unified School District modify the schedule or even cancel school? And that answer is like any attorney would say, it just depends, because there's just so many variables that are in place that we have to factor into. It is our goal to always keep our students in school, but we do understand that we have to weigh our options and identify and implement safety measures so that they are safe when they are with us. If an emergency does occur, we assemble our safety team, our executive cabinet members, we collaborate with our site administrators, we communicate with our supporting agencies, whether if it's our fire department or police department. We also reach out to other districts in our county and local area to get their perspective. And historically, the districts in Solano County are usually pretty aligned when it comes to modifying a school day or even canceling a school day due to fires or any other emergencies. So we're usually pretty aligned when that happens. In the event that we would need to modify or cancel school, communication is going to be the key strategy that we use in order to make sure that everything is rolled out the way it should. We would obviously notify our school site administrators, give them an opportunity to organize and prepare for any change in the school structure. Would contact our parents, those that are going to pick up their children, allow them to do so. And those children who remain on campus that aren't able to get picked up, I just want our parents to know that they're safe. We would provide a safe place for them until they can be picked up in an emergency situation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the threats that we experience. You know, it's unfortunate that I have to sit here today and talk about, or we have to even worry about threats of harm to school campuses. It's a learning environment. And while these threats continue to become more prevalent, we take each incident seriously and we exercise great caution when addressing them. We immediately contact and work with the Benicia Police Department. We investigate the matter together and we assess all risks that are in front of us. In both instances this year, the district and Benicia Police Department were still trying to identify the person or persons responsible. However, although we believe that is nothing more than an inappropriate prank, we are investigating and taking this seriously. And we do ask, if you have any information, please contact your respective school site and share that information so you can assist us in bringing closure to what transpired. In the world of social media, we also want you to understand that with instant messages, it's going to be very difficult for the school district to send out a draft, an accurate draft of information prior to you receiving a text message from your children when something transpires. But we do want to just remind you that it's our goal to share communication as soon as we are able to collect accurate information to share, and the key word is accurate. We understand that parents want as much information as possible, but we just ask you to trust that we do have a set assessment protocols in place with every threat that we face, and that we work closely with our police department to determine next steps. Lastly, I just want to share some community events that we have coming in the next couple of weeks. On September 20th at 6 p.m., there's a listening and learning meeting at Mary Farmer with our parents. On September 21st at 9:30, as our student mentioned, at Liberty High School, there's a listening and learning session with students. On September 22nd, coffee with the superintendent at Liberty High School at 8 a.m., listening and learning at Benicia High School with students at 10:04, and the elementary back to school nights will take place at 6 p.m. on the 22nd as well. Lastly, I just want to share that Benicia Reads, which is a partnership between the district and the city. They promote language and literacy for students in our community. They're having a storybook stroll, a harvest of books on October 8th from 1 to 3 on First Street. So we hope to see you there. Thank you.
That was quite robust report. Thank you.
Sorry for the long report.
No, it's good. No, I meant it in a good way. It was in a good way, not in a bad way. Okay, so we're going to move on to board reports now, and I'm just going to start really quick by saying that I was able to attend Benicia Middle School's the Kyle Highland Foundation puts on a Chalk for Life event, and I was able to help out at the middle school's event last week, and it was wonderful. The kids had a good time and left some wonderful messages on the concrete that were just so positive and uplifting that it was really nice to be a part of. And while I was there, I also had the opportunity to go to the wellness center because it was really hot that day and I needed a little bit of air conditioning. So I went over there when it was on break between the lunches and sat down and was talking. And I actually saw the wellness center being used by two different students that came in separately. And of course, I left when the students came in and needed some assistance. But it was really nice to see those wellness centers being taken, they're being used and by kids that really need to talk to somebody. So I was really happy to see that. And just to let everybody know, mentoring at the high school and the both high schools, Liberty and Benicia, is back up and running and it's going well. And so if there's ever anybody interested in becoming a mentor to one of our students, to please reach out and we'll get you in the right place at the right time. So thank you. Anybody else have anything? Yes. Mrs. Ferrucci.
Sorry. As I alluded to in the beginning, is I was able to participate in the Mad Money activity, which is the seniors with Miss Westerman. It was so exciting to actually see it back in live person again. I was thrilled to be there. The kids were great. Travis Credit Union actually did the presentation and walked the kids through all the different stages of building a budget and how to do checks and how to be handling your paycheck and what all the codes on your paycheck stand for. So they did a great job with the kids. I was really impressed. I got to work the station, as I was sharing with Mr. Maselli and Mrs. Grubbs before, of entertainment and travel. So my job was to lure them into spending a lot of money on trips or whatever else. Those little stinkers, they were so frugal. They kept going, I can't do that. And I'm going, oh, you deserve this because nope, they wanted the free picnic and the $4 bike ride. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I want to be married to this group. But they actually did a really, really good job. There were a couple that I found out that were being so frugal on their selections because they went for the really big house and the really fancy car. So there were some at the end that had to realize they had to sell their car. So again, a great life learning experience for them. So it was a great experience and I was just so happy to see it in action again and the kids engaged. So there was not a student who was not engaged. They were standing there with their little phones going and working their budgets, but it's like, yay. It was wonderful. And I want to thank Joan. She did a great job putting this together with the kids. So awesome, awesome activity.
She does do a wonderful job with
Yes.
the students, and I go usually every time they have it, and I couldn't make it this year, but I remember one of the years I went, there was a student that bought 2 Ferraris. And I'm thinking, well, you need 2 Ferraris. Okay. Anyway.
Weekend and one for one.
Anyway, thanks, Mrs. Furchi.
Sure.
Anybody else? No? Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and move on to comments from members of the public. All functions of the board meeting, including public comments, will take place in person. Members of the public may address the board in a regularly scheduled meeting on any time within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available at the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak up to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call it open session general comments during the public comment item. Comments for items on the agenda will be called during a specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit a total of time to 20 minutes per item, with the timer displayed on the monitors. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment period, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful as students may be watching the board meeting. Thank you. And do we have any public comments? Okay, well, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 11, approval of the consent calendar. Background information on these items are provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on a roll call vote unless the discussion item is requested by a board member. So with that being said, do I have anybody that would like to make a motion to accept the consent calendar as written?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as written.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Bellucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Gross.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to item number 12. It's an equity update, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Beatson.
Thank you. Good evening, President Zeta, trustees, and cabinet members, my colleagues, and everyone watching. I'm really pleased this evening to give you an update on the work that we've done since last spring on our goal of really creating an equitable environment here for all students. And so tonight I want to share with you the equity work we've done and tell you what our next steps are. As you know, we have 4 LCAP goals. While equity is threaded throughout all of them, we also have our one standalone equity goal just to keep us really with our eye on the important work that we need to do. The next slide, really, I'm not going to read all of it, but I just wanted to sort of show you the work that we've done over the last 6 years and highlight that it hasn't been until these past couple of years that we've had all staff focusing on particular concepts in surrounding equity. Prior to that, we've always had equity options for teachers and staff at our PD days. There was a different selection of things that people could choose from, and we've moved to a place where we had some common ones that everybody took. The next slide. One of the things that we were able to do, and we began it last year and we're continuing this year, is to create a really robust equity team. You can see we've got about 25 to 30 members of our equity team, and I'm proud to say that almost everyone that was on our equity team last year that it remained in our district signed up to do the work again this year. Last year we met for 3 hours a month with EPIC to really do some in-depth personal learning around what does equity mean, implicit bias, microaggressions, culturally responsive practices, and framing all of that was that RIR protocol. We've talked about that before. So how do we actually engage in these difficult conversations? And so last year we spent 3 hours a month working with EPIC on that, and in between times we had between 1 and 2 hours worth of module work to do online. And so it was a very big commitment for this team of staff, administrators, and classified staff and teachers representing all schools and many departments. So it's very exciting. And then they came back again this year, and we have more work to do. So I talked a little bit about the work that we did last year, and this year our equity team began meeting monthly. We've already had 2 meetings, and in addition to that, we will be working on some smaller, what we're calling Pdsa Cycles, so Plan, Do, Study, Act, because we've identified some areas that we really need to investigate. So how can we remove some barriers for students and families to access different parts of our system? And so we will do that in a model called Plan, Do, Study, Act, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The other responsibility of the equity team is to be a conduit between the work that we're doing here and the sites and the parent groups on really trying to work on that communication. And so really helping to raise awareness of the work that we're doing and to give input into the systems and practices that we're doing here in the district. But one of the really exciting things that we've done so far this year is to draft an equity statement. And the purpose of an equity statement is really just to express a district stance. It's not the action and all of the things that we're going to tackle together, but to really put a message out there about what our stance is as a district. This practice, or this activity started with our administrators when we met over the summer for our leadership retreat. We brought that draft statement to our equity team. We turned it all around and upside down and redrafted a new statement. It went back to the administrators. It came back to the equity team. Then it went back out to administrators to put in front of some parent groups that they had and some student groups. And we just brought it back. I think we met this week. It might have been last week. And landed on this as an equity statement. So I'd like to just take a minute and, it was Wednesday, this week. All the days are blurring, they are. And I think we've come up with something that is pretty profound. So BUSD ensures that historically marginalized students' voices, cultures, identities, and stories are valued and celebrated. To assure all of our students thrive, BUSD will dismantle barriers and advance policies and practices that support our diverse community. And so if you really think about that as the foundation of the work that we want to do, it's in direct alignment with our LCAP goals, our district's mission and vision, and characteristics of a Benicia grad. So from here, we had, at the end of last year, both our administrative team and our equity team identified what we would typically call problems of practice. They've identified areas within our system, curriculum, maybe some policies, discipline practices that we really wanted to investigate and explore and see what's working for kids, what things may need to shift and change. And the process that we're going to use to do that is called improvement science, and it comes out of the Carnegie Foundation. And we have a few of our staff members that have been highly trained as trainers in this, and then we're also partnering with our county. And the idea behind this is first to identify what are we really specifically trying to solve, and then to think about what works for whom and in what conditions. And so the idea is, typically we see a problem and we implement 1 or 15 strategies on a really big scale, and then we're not exactly sure what worked for how long and is it sustainable. And so this idea is you start to really investigate and try to figure out what's really going on here. And then you come up, and so really trying to get to the root cause. And that may take looking at some data, having conversations, trying to really figure out why is this happening. And then you pick a strategy and you try it on a very small scale and you monitor it and collect some data. And if it's working, you continue and you scale it up, and then you scale it up. And so you don't go right for everybody doing this throughout the district, but you start smaller and you monitor and see if it's working. If it doesn't work, you adjust, and so on. And so what we're going to do is use this process to engage in some exploration around some of the topics that have come up that really need some investigation, if that makes sense. And so we went through a process. We had identified at the end of last year probably 25 different areas, grading, curriculum, instructional practice, discipline, communication, all these different areas that we really want to investigate. And we turned them into inquiry questions because we didn't want to assume that we knew what the reason was, so we needed to flip it into a question. We went through a pretty complex, I'll look out at my equity team out there, prioritization process, where we looked at each one of those inquiries measured up against different factors. So it wasn't just someone's favorite thing that got a high priority, but we had to look at it in what's the urgency? If we do something around this, is it going to help us close achievement gaps? Is our community ready for this? What kind of support do we need? So they had to rank it in many different categories. And we had lots of great conversation around it, and we identified 4 that rose to the top that we want to begin with. And some may have quicker resolutions and solutions, and some may take much longer. And so the 4 up there really are making sure that we encourage, invite all of our staff to be invested in this work. So how do we continue to do that? We really want to look at what systems and structures are really supporting and helping our students and affirming who they are, and which ones are not. We want to look at our communication practices. So how do we continue to communicate in ways that people can hear and understand the work that we're doing across the district? And then we really want to dig into our instructional practices and curriculum and what's out there. So those are the 4 areas that we plan to start with. And so we'll be developing these smaller teams that some of our equity team members will help facilitate. And those will meet probably monthly. And so we sort of think of it as an accordion. They'll meet in small groups, they'll come back to the larger group, and we'll report out how are we doing, if that makes sense. And then where we want to get to, and we're not here yet, is to create an accountability dashboard that we can actually put up on our website to show our community the work that we're doing. And so I put up what could be a sample of that work, where we could identify all of the different things that we're working on at some point. So what is the district committed to? Like, we might highlight those in red. And I have to be honest, I lifted this idea from Lafayette School District, and I on one of my slides, I actually gave them that credit, but it looked great. And so what are we working on that we're committed to, but we haven't started yet? What have we initiated? What is fully implemented, excuse me, and then what are we just in the monitoring stages of? So this is just a sample of something that we hope to get to keep our communication going. And so that is my end of the equity presentation, and now I would like to turn this over to Dr. Gill to talk about some other components of equity work that we've done here.
So Dr. Beats and I tag team last year as well, where she talked about, from Ed Services perspective in general, about our focus on equity, and I highlighted the efforts that are being made district-wide to hire qualified applicants for all positions, especially employees of color, with the focus on Black employees. That has been a prime goal, as my personal goal as well, professional goal as well, is to really figure out. Our ultimate goal is to do this, which is align our hiring practices, which we have been, with our LCAP. And our LCAP goal specifically says that we are going to work on historically underserved, underrepresented students will have access to an inclusion in all learning and school activities. And our action plan under that also says that we are going to conduct an outreach and advertise to attract, retain, and support a diverse staff in BUSD. So all of our efforts from that angle are aligned with this action plan. So I just want to share, before sharing with you what we have done this past year to hire for this year, just some data, shared data with you. Last year, our student data in comparison with our certificated staff data, classified and management data, and also different ethnicities. We still have a long way to go, but we are making slow progress. I'll highlight a couple numbers here. If you look at Hispanic, we had around 8% last year certificated staff. Now we have a little over 13% certificated staff in Hispanic. And there is one thing I want to say, that you may remember at some point the way Hispanic and white, the category, that part is done, right, were changed. So now people have to say, what is your race? Is it white or Hispanic? If somebody says not Hispanic or Hispanic, then underneath in the ethnicity, there is really no place for them to pick a box for Hispanic. So most people, we have noticed, choose white. So sometimes miscalculation. So when the system calculated, what came to my attention was when I let the system calculate by itself, it showed me we have 0% Hispanic management. I said, that's not possible. We know we have Hispanic managers in our district, right? So that's when I had to, Dr. Beatson came to my office on the other day. She said, what are you working on? I said, I'm manually calculating all these percentages for each of the employee groups, because the system consider, after I believe it's like 2012 or something. Since then, everybody who's Hispanic it goes into white category in that system unless we manually calculate it. So that is one of the things we have to pay attention to. And some of the other categories as well. For certificate staff, we noticed, because I specifically said Black African American group, we have hired certificate staff, not as many who are African American or Black. Classified staff, our percentage went down as compared to last year. Our management percent went up by quite a bit. So then the same thing with Asian ethnicities and so on. Just want to share that data with you. Okay, this is a comparison for 2 years. What we have done this year is, when I said this year, I am talking from like November of 2021 all the way to June, July of 2022. That's the period when we make these kind of efforts, which is reaching out to historically Black universities. Unfortunately, we haven't had much of any luck bringing applicants from there. Universities, around this area that I have diverse student population, we reach out to them personally, either via phone calls, sending flyers. In the past, we used to physically go to the job fairs, which we're going to start going again. And then AXA, and then CASA. AXA stands for Association of California School Administrators, and CASA stands for Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators. And so these are the kind of things we have done with those, sent out flyers, reached out to them via email, via phone calls. At CASA conference in March, we also had we participated in their job fair as well. And we participated in the SCO job fair in May. We most probably will try to have our own job fairs in future as well, along with participating in more job fairs. And because of COVID, many job fairs were virtual up until like this year. So this year we did a couple, but we will do more in the future. And I personally feel like they're my friends, Dwight Barnes and Dr. Daryl Camp. He's the president. He used to be the president. Now they have a different president. So I am constantly in communication with them that what can we do to bring. I'm asking them, I'm saying, we said to them, we can help you to have database in CASA so that we can pick from your database. So we're going to continue working with them on that. And then I personally reached out to Dr. Santiago at Troy University LR. She's the director of education department. And I have her on my speed dial, on my cell phone. Very helpful, actually. And so they give us quite a few students and quite a few teachers, especially in the middle of the school year when we are desperate if something happens.
But can I ask why you don't also include CASA on that?
CALSA? We actually will. I have it later on in the next steps, actually. Yeah, you're in my mind. Yes, yes. So this is just an example. This was one of I believe this was like, we created this in June, but we have these flyers, so to speak, that we create, update them every month or so, and then send them to different organizations, letting them know these are the different positions we have. And so some universities post them on their bulletin boards. So when people are walking by, they can see, and some of them also send them to their students. And so then people can apply, just click on that link and apply for jobs. And again, I just shared that already. These are the other places where we actually advertise our positions. Lots of different places we advertise our positions at. A lot of classified positions get advertised also on Indeed and some other professional platforms. And this is the list of, it's about 626 universities I reached out to this year from different, all over the country, but they're mainly more in Midwest and East Coast. And here's some few other communications, listening to parents, conversations with our union leaders, always just brainstorming and saying what can we do. We definitely would like to do more of that, get more involved with the now since we're back in person fully, and then informal communications with staff and specifically with parents. Lots of the new supervision employees, part-time employees we hire are through by sending information. Our principals, I ask the principals to send, and they sometimes send them by themselves as well, saying we have these positions open, like what Miss Courtney was sharing earlier. Okay. So really sending all their communications to our parents, and the majority, many of our employees, especially that are 2-hour positions, 3-hour positions, are our parents. And then focusing equity conversations with our administrators, especially when it comes to screening applicants, interviewing those type of things, and saying what do we need to do, and what can we do to make sure that we are hiring qualified people, but at the same time hiring with the equity lens, and keeping that in the forefront. I already mentioned CASA. We have been very involved. I would like to personally get more involved with them too, because they do get lots of people through them in those workshops and conferences where they can help us spread the word. Plans for future years. Again, our goal will be to hold, even if it's smaller scale job fairs here, but also attend more job fairs other places. Get involved with AXA, ASA, CASA, and CALSA. So yes, yes. So the CALSA is the Hispanic Latino school administrators, basically. Group that we have not done in the past, we would like to continue doing. And Dr. Wright actually has great ideas as well, because he has gone, he was sharing with me to the actual HBUs personally. I am going to personally explore with him and find out if there are certain things we could do to do that. And then finally, this is extremely important, is not only hire, but specifically develop plans within our district to sustain employees from diverse backgrounds. That is the key, right? Support them, sustain them so they feel like they belong. Like we want our students to belong, we also want our employees to belong. And that's it. Questions? Any questions?
I was involved with CTA for a long time at the state, being part of state council, and I was on credentials and professional development. One of the things we looked into was the concept of hiring, people of color as teachers. And one of the things we found, at least from the state level, is that there's not a lot of people of color going into education. And I was curious if that is still the case. I mean, because if you have a lot of people going into it, then it's easier to find people. But if not a lot of people of color are going into education, you're going to have a harder time pulling people in. So I was wondering if that is still the case, where we're finding that people of color generally are not going into education, in large numbers, as opposed to white people.
We
for whatever reason.
That is potentially correct, because we are not seeing as many applicants. However, as educators, we have a high school, we have actually 2 high schools. If we can start that pipeline in high school and encouraging students, guiding them, coaching them, especially if they don't know which vehicle to take, and at the high school level. Truro University actually does have a partnership. I know Fairfield Unified, they have a partnership with. That is something I am very curious to talk to Truro University to see if they can do that partnership with us. And I'm also hearing that maybe in future years, if we continue a teaching pathway at our high school, that will be a win-win. So then we specifically can support our students of color.
Are we talking about like a magnet high school for education per se? Or like
No, like how
schools?
we have the CTE programs. There are some schools within other places that have those kind of CTE programs that are teaching focused.
Just I guess I wanted to put it out there that the district's trying, there's not a ton of people
Right.
that fits the category, so that I don't want people to think there's a lot of people out there and we're just not making.
We don't
that needs
find
to be
too many.
known.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to our action items, number 13A. We have a public hearing, resolution number 22-23-02. I'm going to open the public hearing for comments. Are there any comments? Open the public hearing. I like that. Are there any comments? We have no comments. So I am going to close the public hearing, and we're going to go ahead and take action. Dr. Beatson, you're going to explain some of this to us.
Sure. Thank you again. So every year in the fall, right after school starts, we have this resolution that we have to do by Ed Code, which requires an approval to this resolution saying that each student has been provided the materials needed for instruction. So we bring this to you every single year. I'm happy to say that all the materials this year have been ordered, and I think the last shipment of some math workbooks came in today. And so we have a process where my office reaches out, starting in the spring of the previous year, saying we look at numbers and class size and what needs to be replaced and what new things need to be ordered. And we do that all over the summertime with the hopes that everything comes in on time. And this year was much better than last year. And so we have received everything that we have ordered, and we should be fully stocked.
That is really good. It's so important for our students. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just curious, in terms of laptops, I know that we're 1-to-1. How are we keeping up on that? Because that's also difficult because, when things, it's easier to break a computer than a book, so.
Right. And part of the trick with that is we have allowed students to keep their computers over the summer. So we expect them all to come back, and that doesn't always happen. And the other trick that has happened is the programs that we use and the platform for testing, state testing, and the NWEA MAP testing that we do in-house has continue to change the requirements for what the computer needs to run. And so that was an issue for us last year. This year, not so much, but we did order another batch of computers to make sure that we could replace any that were missing that we expected to come back or were older and needed to be retired. So we are good on that front for right now. I'm looking out there at Bruce. But we are keeping an eye on it and making some plans for that continual refurbish and how quickly they start to go out of date.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so can I get somebody to make a motion, please?
I will move to approve our sufficiency or insufficiency instructional materials report for the current school year.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Brooks.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, next up is consideration and approval of the certificated substitute teacher pay during the 2022-23 school year. Oh, yes. Hey. Hello. Yes. Would you please share
Yes,
with us?
ma'am.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Pleasure. Good evening. We had discussed this in, I believe, August board meeting as well. That we had, I remember Dr. Wright exactly saying that we will monitor the data, monitor absences, monitor the need. We did monitor. We are coming back and requesting to increase the sub pay to similar to last school year what we had in the spring. The only change is the second row, which says valid 30-day emergency sub permit. It used to be $225. We are proposing $230 just to be competitive with our neighbors. Rest of all the other figures are same as last year. So we would like to do that so that we can bring more subs in and continue filling all the jobs on a daily basis. That's the goal.
Thank you, and I'm really glad to see this brought back. Can I get a motion, please?
I'd like to move for the approval of the certificated substitute teachers pay increase for the 22-23 school year.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Trustee Gross.
Yes.
All right. Next up is consideration and approval of job description for the instructor for before and after school program non-subsidized. Is there anybody that can share anything on this?
Yes, there is.
Oh, because
It's all me after this.
Okay. Well, welcome back, Dr.
Thank you.
Gill.
So, in our CDU preschool program, teacher jobs require something which is called permit, preschool permit or permit teacher, we call them. And which is required for all the subsidized program, which means that are state-funded program. State does allow that if there are programs that are non-subsidized, that means paid by parents, the other qualifications could be considered, such as somebody having an A degree, somebody having a bachelor's degree in a related field, such as psychology and so on. So the person doesn't have a permit. So what we are requesting is, we're requesting that flexibility for our child development department, so that if there's an applicant who may have a bachelor's degree but don't have a permit, so we can hire them, because it is not a state requirement. In our job description, we only had one job description. We didn't have two for both, but state allows that. So we are requesting that flexibility for the CDU department.
Thank you. Can I get a motion, please? May I get a second?
I'll second
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci. Trustee Maselli. And Trustee Gross.
Okay, and now we have consideration and approval of provisional intern permit, PIP, education specialist, mild to moderate support needs, the MMSN. And yes, it's you. Oh, you're up again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So we, at Sample School, Miss Erin Beaver was the resource teacher. And we have hired her as a special education TOSA to support our special education teachers and students. To fill her resource position, we are bringing this candidate forward, who is working on his credential, but we need to, in the meantime, between the gap of receiving the credential, we need to get a permit. So we are requesting for the board to approve this, so we can take this document back to the state and get the PIP credential approved.
May I get a motion?
I move that we approve the provisional intern permit for education specialist, mild to moderate.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci. Yes. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, consideration and approval for provisional appointment of governing board trustees in Area 5. And I am going to open this one up here. Dr. Wright, you're up in this. Thank you.
So with this item, we're considering the provisional appointment process to fill our forthcoming vacant trustee seat for Area 5. We didn't have any candidates submit an application prior to the submission deadline. So if approved tonight, the district will post a vacancy and advertise the position in local newspapers, websites, social media, and will also have an application materials available on Monday, September 19th.
I'm sorry. I assume this process will be like it was when we
Yes.
disseminated.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the provisional appointment of governing board trustee in Area 5.
I'll
Second. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Barucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of our meeting this evening. We weren't quite as quick as we were last time, but pretty good, 8:06. Just want to remind you all that the next meeting is Thursday, October 6th, and we look forward to seeing you. Thanks at home, and thank you all here. Meeting adjourned.